I wouldn't trade my youth and childhood for anything. I spent a lot of time on the streets with older kids, and they taught me some things, and some things I learned on my own. Um, but God was with me, and He took care of me. And I always thought, God was going to zap me because I did a few things wrong. You could always earn a buck somewhere. A dollar was a lot of money, but a quarter, a dime.
Didn't your family sell papers?
Yeah, when my father left, we needed to supplement some income, so my mother, my sister, and I all started selling papers. I sold every day. My mother put me in dancing school, so I took tap and ballet for about, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years. I had to try out for the Muni. But
You tried out for the Muni?
well, Babes in Toyland. I literally danced and I got picked, but I had long banana curls, and they thought I was the girls. And then when they found out I was the boy, I made it by dancing, but then when they found out I was a boy and not a girl, I got kicked out. And
Norbert Butz?
yeah, no, no, that's not where the name Norberta comes from at all. So anyway, the papers, we become very good at it, and the routes kept growing, and then I would go back on Sunday morning to collect for the people that we left the papers at the door. But we had to go into a lot of tenement, second and third floor, back alleys and scare hallways. So I was attempted robbery 3 times before I was 12, 13 years old. And one time I had a knife put in my back and punctured me a little bit. And then another time they pulled a gun and they held it, just inches from my nose, and it was a real gun. And I was scared, and I wouldn't give my money, but they never got my money because I knew I couldn't go home without my money. And so 3 times I was down at the Lynch Street police station, and so finally they says, we think you ought to give it up, because the streets were a little dangerous. But God always protected me, and I think the thing that I want to say about my youth is that all that I've seen and explored, and the fights in the alleys and this and that and the other thing, from a very young boy, God, for whatever reason, I always felt that He favored me. But He favors everybody, but I acknowledge that He favored me, and because He would lead me to the brink. I'd go to the brink, but I'd never cross, the line. There's a line you can't cross, and I could never cross that line. And I know now, as I got older, that was, God just holding me back and saying, hey, that's as far as you can go. Don't go no further. Don't quite do the next step, I got to be 16 years old, and things were going pretty good. I was a fairly good athlete, although you got to be careful when you say you were a good athlete when you were a kid, because it seems to me that people I know, the older they got, the better they got, and there's always, no matter what you do, there's always someone that can beat you, whip you, do better, sell more, jump higher, jump lower, whatever, well, I don't know, jump lower. It's just an expression of
Yeah.
There's
always someone else out there.
Yeah, well, so and I think one of the main things that I had to learn is that you can just be who you are, be all you can be.
In the Army.
Yeah.
No.
I don't like to use an Army
in the Marines.
quote, but and then you got to join the world. You can't fight the world, because you have to be part of it rather than be.
Were you fighting it for
so independent, huh?
Were you fighting it?
Well, I think so. I was fighting home life. I was fighting living in a house of women. My grandmother, my aunt, my mother, my sister.
That's all you lived with, was just.
Yeah, I needed. I've never had a male in
Because
my
didn't your grandpa pass away when you were
life.
little?
Yeah, my grandpa. God, I was really young in grade school, and he was my great guy. He was a shoemaker, and we had safety zones at the time, waiting for a streetcar, and some driver came and ran him over, and he died about 3 days later. So it was a big loss in my life, because when I'd come home from school, or even before I went to school, or if I had a half day or day off, I would be with my grandpa all day. He'd be in the basement making shoes. He made them from scratch, and repaired shoes. He's a shoemaker. And then he also did the cooking, so that got me into the kitchen a little bit. And And that's why
Do you make soups?
I like to
You had
make
ham hocks?
and by the way, my ham hock soup, your father ate it for lunch, and he loved
Since
it.
you're doing this for me, I'll try it for you.
And finally, school got out, and I'm walking on Grand Avenue, and there's that picture of that 30-inch broad-shouldered guy, blonde hair, blue-eyed, pointing at me saying, "We want you." And I went in there, I said, "I want you. We want each other, and if you'll get me out of St. Louis in like 2 weeks, I'll join, I'll sign." Thank God I only signed for 3 years and not 4, because I'd signed my life away at the time. But I needed to get out of St. Louis. I needed to get out of my environment.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is that your grandmother, who I was smitten with at age 14, I took her out on my 16th birthday. She was 14, and I saw that gleam in her eye, and I had one too. And she was kind of a rebound situation, which at 14 years old, it's all puppy love stuff. And but anyway, we've been together all those years, and we went study a lot through high school. And she was my gal.
But you went to a lot of other dances and stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, we danced a lot. Our life was, when I was in high school, we had a choir practice every Tuesday night with perpetual help devotions before and after. And then we would walk and get an ice cream with the kids in the neighborhood. And then church was a big thing. We would go to church.
Where'd you go to church at?
At Assumption, where I went to grade school. Yeah, they happened to move into the neighborhood from another neighborhood, and I met him and met her mother, and I got stood up on my birthday. I wanted to go dancing, and by this Gina Lola Brigida of high school.
The Gina. Who is Gina Lola Brigida?
Yeah, I'll show you a picture of her sometime. You don't know who she is. She would be like, would you say an Italian Dolly Parton? I don't know how else to describe it.
Fully developed.
Well, just the Gina Lola Brigida of high school. But I was involved in football. My mind wasn't there, but anyway, I really enjoyed your mother's company, and we started dating, and we went study after a while, and I think my senior year of high school we went study. And the thing about CBC, we had a brother that ultimately left being a Christian brother, but I loved the guy. I had him for religion, and again, I told you earlier that I always thought that no matter how hard I tried, some things wouldn't go right. You'd screw up, and I always knew that I was going to get zapped for this. I really didn't understand until he explained to me who Jesus was, and that he suffered, he died, he rose, he loved me, just for me. And I thought, well, wow, if he did that just for me and you or everybody, you got to have you got to be important. You're just not something that happened or just random out there, trying to swim across the ocean. That you really had a helper. But it made an impact on me with this brother in religion class. And then for the grandchildren, I really do enjoy my grandchildren. I really do enjoy my grandchildren. You're all so unique, and some of you, I pray a lot that you not stay in one church or do this or do that, or like I would do or choose to do, or what's comfortable for me, but I would like each of you not to even have your father's faith or your mother's faith. You can that can be a guide or a lead, but you've got to develop your own. It's a personal relationship that you all have to find, rather than, well, I'm Catholic because my parents are Catholic, or I'm this because I don't do this because my mother or dad never did that. You know what I mean? I think if the prayer I pray for each of you is that you, because I tell you, life can be tough at times, and you need something more than what you just see and feel, because your feelings may not even be, that's just the way you feel today, it's an emotional thing. So you can't really go totally on your feelings, but they're part of your physical makeup. And so feelings are very important, but you got to know that you know that you know that you know, and it's a faith thing, you know. And that's what I pray to each of you, because when times, good times are bad times, that you think Him and you thank God both ways. And you know, it's like that footprints in the sand. You know, I'm going to walk with you. I'm going to take you here and there. Well, then, well, Jesus, where were you? And only one set of prints. Well, that's when I was carrying you. You got, you know.